Hi everyone, thanks for here. I'm glad to host this new sessions, the fourth session today of Azure AppFest. So thank you so much for joining. Before we move on to the program of today's, quick reminders of the contest we are running this month, right? You have one more week to upgrade your skills and share on LinkedIn to win one Surface device on coaching sessions by one of our best senior executive at Microsoft. So join the challenge this week and share it on LinkedIn. As I shared this week, it's the fourth sessions. We will focus on your productivity with VS Code, right, and its extensions. The first sessions was on containers and all the past solutions on Azure. Second one was on DevSecOps pipelines. Third one on MLOps. You are able to catch up all these sessions from the thank you emails that you will receive after these sessions. And I truly encourage you to register for the last two sessions, right, next week and the following ones. So that's time for that. And before we proceed, a gentle reminder on few housekeeping rules. This session is recorded and please ask any questions during the sessions. We have saved sometimes at the end of the sessions to answer all your questions, right? So we will go through every questions, even if it's answered during the call. And without further ado, let me introduce you to Francesco. Francesco is our very own app innovation cloud solution architect. So you can reach out for anything around DevSecOps, around app modernizations. And today we want to focus more specifically for developers on how to boost your productivity for VS Code and all the toolings around VS Code, because VS Code is a platform with so many extensions. So we handpicked few extensions and I let Francesco go through that session. Thank you so much.
So, hi everyone. Today I'm going to speak about how to boost your productivity with the Visual Studio Code and GitHub tools. As mentioned by Francois, the audience for this is more development leads, and all the PM delivery leads and people working on software development. The assumption is that you have a little bit of idea about Visual Studio and GitHub. And also, if you are not a developer, but you are working with developers, you might see today some really cool stuff that can help, that you can bring your company to help productivity during the development life cycle. So in the agenda of today, the idea is to cover an initial definition and give an idea about what is developer velocity. That is the overall umbrella for all this kind of activity related with productivity, collaboration, and how to scale innovation. After defining developer velocity, I will also spend a couple of minutes on the benefit, but then I will jump into the 5 demo that I want to cover today, and you will see how each of these demo will be very helpful in improving productivity for developers. Code to Cloud, for example, it's helping developers to create a new cloud component in seconds from template, and how to deploy them in the cloud in minutes. Codespace can help you as a developer to standardize and create development environments in seconds and by leveraging the power of cloud. Copilot is a tool that helps you to be to code way more faster, because you will leverage on AI that helps you to how to complete the code. Live sharing is in today's world of working remotely, is helping to perform code review and also unblock developer in a way more extensive and immersive experience. And then finally, I will show you a notebook that are very useful tool for data scientists, but I will show you also how you can leverage of notebook in a way other use case, like for education, to run testing and also to do triage activity. So let me just give a little bit of context. So as the CEO of Microsoft said a couple of years ago, every company is a software company. And no matter the industry where you are, software and technology is becoming one key component of your day by day. And in some case, it just it's a key element to be able to still be profitable. And in some other situation, there were many examples in logistics, retail, and also in banks where those companies decide to move to become a technology company rather than logistics or banking. At the heart of the digital transformation that is required to at the heart of this process to change a company and become more a software company, there are developers, and the developers are at the center of Microsoft investment at the moment, and they're also the key priority as my role as App Innovation CSA. To better improve the way that a developer works together, it's very important to focus on developer velocity and improve it. So there have been a lot of study, and here is this is a very broad topic, and I will try to summarize it to avoid losing focus on all the technical demo that I want to do today. But just to summarize, developer velocity, try to summarize in one KPI a lot of different pillars coming from technology, working practice, and organizational enablement when we are talking about software development. And based on the study, they have tried to see how all this from all these different factors, what was bringing to better success company. And so by studying this correlation, they create this index that help you to understand when where your company is at, what is the current status of your company, and also the area where you can improve it. The key benefit of working on developer velocity is that, for example, you will be able to perform a lot of activity like set up environment, test coding, and perform change, merge new code, or deploy to production. From, as for much of companies, is taking weeks or days to jump to perform this kind of activity in minutes or hours. And as you can understand, this has a huge impact in terms of productivity and in terms also of business impact, because it will help your company to go live with a new solution or with a new feature in less time. And of course, also it will help your developer to have a better development experience, because definitely set up the environment is not an activity that a developer enjoy while doing it. So as mentioned, developer velocity is really a broad topic, and there are three ways where you should work on when you want to improve it. One is build productively. So how to improve the productivity of developers mainly. And this is the area where I will focus today, but I would like just to give you a couple of additional words on the other two pillars. So the second one is to collaborate globally and securely. And here is another area where you need to, organizations should invest to remove all the friction and help developers to work together. And one key area where companies should invest time is to implement DevOps and DevSecOps DevSecOps pipeline and process inside the company. The third area is about scale innovation, and this is is connected to all the serverless and cloud native products that can help your developer to just focus on code and define the end product, and to just to avoid to spend time on infrastructure, complex scalability rules, reliability, because all these services in a cloud native world are taken care by the infrastructure and the cloud provider. In this way, of course, you focus only on what is the most relevant part for your company to make money. So let's stop speaking about business and let's go back on technology. So I will cover only the build productively today. And in this area, according to all the studies that McKinsey and Microsoft have done, the key driver of business performance is related to adopting the best-in-class tools, and especially to use the right tool for the right job. By implementing this, company succeed to achieve 65 more innovation, and they will also decrease retention rate and improve developer satisfaction. In the last years, there were a huge transformation inside Microsoft, and Microsoft start to embrace as more as they can open source, and we became a company that it cannot be just seen as a Windows only shop. Microsoft, in fact, developed tools like Visual Studio, GitHub that are committed to open source and support for all language and frameworks. So you can build, debug, deploy, and manage application with any language, any platform, and any framework. And the same is applied to Azure. So let's start to speak about some coding. The first demo that I want to show you is about code to cloud with Azure. So Visual Studio and Azure provide an end-to-end developer experience that help your developer team to create a reliable, global, and secure application faster. So with this setup, you will be able to code in Visual Studio and quickly deploy your application directly to the cloud. I will close now PowerPoint, and I will show you my Visual Studio. So in this case, I want to highlight this project that I'm showing to you. So this is a dummy experiment that I have created, and in each of these folder there are some basic projects. One is with Java, one is with Node, and inside there are Azure function. Then there is another one with Spring, React, and then some notebook files. I hope it's visible. I might increase a little bit the zoom. No, this is sorry, but I think it might be relevant to. Okay, in case it was not visible. Okay, so this is my repo, and then the second point that I want to show you is that to enable this type of code to cloud experience, you will need to install the relevant extension in your environment. So one extension that I have installed is the Azure App Service, and this is useful to deploy and to code and deploy app service solution. App Service is a platform as a service solution that enables you to run code or container in the cloud without having to pay attention on the underlying infrastructure. Then there is another extension that I will show you, that is the Azure function. Azure function is a serverless compute offering where you can just write a function and this gets executed in a serverless way on the cloud. When you install this extension, the first benefit that you will have is to be able to access to all the app service function that are available in your subscription. So in this case, I want to show you, so I have a lot of subscriptions, sorry for being a little bit messy. So this is my one example of app service. And without the need of going inside the portal, thanks to the extension, I will be able to see several information. Like I can check all the settings of this app service. I can also check if there are deployment slot, access to database, and I can even access to logs from the environment, and it will be directly streamed to my Visual Studio Code. And this is very important when you just complete a deployment. Another way to leverage, of course, this kind of SDK is doing development. So inside the API node, there is an example of an Azure function. And there are already a couple of functions that are available. And I want to show you how I can leverage the Azure function extension to add a new function inside this project. So I will just do Ctrl-Shift-P. And this will prompt me all the options inside the Visual Studio. And then when I type the name of an extension, it will show me all the possible tasks that I can perform with this extension. The one that I want to use is this one, is create a function. So this will add a new function in this folder. There are a lot of different functions that you can use, and I don't have time to explain you all, but I will use the most common one, the one that is used to create API usually. So I will use HTTP trigger, and I will call it AppFest. So when I create, I can define the authorization level. I will use the less secure one because it's just a demo. And then, as you can see, in just in 1 second, it created this new template that is already properly configured with all the information that I provide. And in the normal life, I will start to do my change in the code and edit it. So the only edit that I want to do today is to change from hello to ciao, that is an Italian greeting. And then I want to highlight how you will deploy this function. So to deploy, you can just right click and you will be able to find this deploy to function. And in this case, you can select the subscription, of course, the function app that is running. I already created this function app, but in case you can even create it from here. And then after that you create, it will resume the settings from previous deployment. So you can just click on deploy. In this moment, Visual Studio will just zip it and then upload it to the cloud. I want to just give me a second. I know that there might be a warning. Yes, so yeah, it's building it. Okay, it's a small configuration that I didn't provide for this demo. But then while deploying, I want to show you my Azure function inside the portal. So this is the portal associated with my function app. I created this just for demo purpose, and then I can have a look inside the function, and you can see that the AppFest function that I created is already available. What I want to do is now I want to quickly test it. So I will copy this URL, I will paste it, and I can see that it's already working. And then I want to just test if my change to the greetings is working. So you can see. So this is a very, I would say, dummy example, but it shows you how an SDK helped me to create a template of a function with some relevant example on how to use attribute, and then how I was able to deploy in less than 1 minute my code. And this give me a very quick way to test my code and even in some case go live in a matter of a couple of minutes with a new feature. So let's go back to the presentation. So the next topic that I want to highlight is a GitHub Codespace. So GitHub Codespace use the power of Azure to enable developer to create fully configured development environment just in minutes. And as we have seen before, Visual Studio on my computer is using the CPU of my computer. But if you are using Codespace, you will leverage on all the resources, the CPU, storage, and memory of the cloud. So the key benefit there are multiple benefits for this. In some scenario, you might need a very powerful machine, or you might be in a coffee shop on Sunday and you need to do bug fixing in production, and you just have an iPad, and with the Codespace, you can run your entire environment on the cloud and just doing your debugging from the iPad. Or, so this is the first one, to use a a stronger computational environment on the cloud instead of on your computer. The second advantage is that you can define all the development environment and configuration. And in case you are working on multiple projects, and maybe you work one project on .NET, one project in Java 11, every time that you swap, automatically Codespace will build the development environment for you. And so you are ready, after 1 minute, so you are ready to code without the need to change configuration. And the third one is more from security. We see a lot of traction of Codespace in banks because the code is not stored inside a local machine. So there is no risk of leaking this kind of very important IP of a company in maybe a laptop of a vendor. So let's see a quick demo of Codespace. So in this case, I will open my GitHub repository. So this is exactly the same code that I was showing in Visual Studio. And before showing Codespace, I want to show you a small trick that maybe you are not aware. So there is if you change from github.com to github.dev, you will be able to open the same repository inside a Visual Studio editor running on Chrome or running on your browser. This is useful because it helps you to edit code and also to commit the code. But this is not Codespace, because in fact, in this case, the code is on your local machine. It's not on the cloud. So I would like to show you this interesting feature, but yeah, keep in mind that this is not Codespace. The way to access to Codespace is to create it from here, and by clicking on the machine that I have already created before. So as you have seen, in a matter of seconds, it created my Codespace environment. So now there is a virtual machine somewhere in the cloud that is executing this code, and I am visualizing it. First things, all of this is already available with Java and Node. Why? Because the first time that I have created this Codespace environment, I have added this task, Codespace add development container configuration. And the kind of configuration that I have done is very similar to this one. And I was able, just by check some of those checkbox, I was able to enable, disable languages and SDK, useful for my development. When I completed this activity, Codespace generated a dev container and a Docker file. And this I was still able to change it. In fact, I needed to have the Azure function extension, plus in the Docker file, I had a way to build, to add also Azure function core tools. I want to show you two quick examples. One is how you can run an application. And so I want to show you in this case my front-end React app. So this is okay, I will show you the code. So this is the front-end React. It's a very basic React application that I have created. And while I'm executing this npm start, so you can see that I click on npm start and didn't ask me to install anything because that was already taken into account by the environment. And what we have done, React is usually creating a web server on listening on port 3000, but this is not in my local machine. This is on the cloud. So how do I access it? In this case, Codespace is already creating a port forwarding for me and is helping me to directly access this environment. So I was able to, oh, sorry, should be this one. Yeah, and I was able to directly access to this React application that is running in the cloud. So this is the kind of additional feature that you get that you cannot get inside GitHub Dev. The second feature that I want to show you is a very quick example on how you can debug an application. And here I have an example of a Spring Boot application, API Java. So in this case, I have to copy paste the command to run the Spring Boot application and also to listen to port 8000 to attach my debugger. In the meantime, I can show you a little bit the code of this basic Spring Boot application. And in this case, I have a hello controller that is just printing out greetings from the AppFest. So it's running, and this application is running on my on port 8080. But as you can see, also open port 8000 for attach a debugger, and this is what I'm going to do. So I will also enable a remote debugging session. And in this case, I will reload the call to the controller. As you can see, there is a breakpoint that got activated. And here, even if we are on Chrome, we can perform a full debugging session, like if we were in any IDE. So we can check the calling stack, and we can also modify value of a variable. So in the moment that I release this, I continue this debugging, I will be able to see that the variable was changed also in the browser. Okay, so that's all from what I want to show you in Codespace. I hope you get excited about all the how powerful could be to leverage on the power of cloud while coding. The next item is Github Copilot. So Copilot is a AI per programmer. So it's a tool that while you are typing code, it helps you to complete a single line of code, or even to preempt a full function inside your code editor. Github Copilot is built on top of OpenAI. That is a very powerful neural networks that is able to store more than 1 billion different information, and the information that is ingesting for his doing his training is public source code and also natural language. Is able to understand the 12 different language like English, Italian, and so on. On top of this OpenAI sits the GitHub Copilot agent that is able to understand from the context of your code what you are trying to develop, and then provide suggestion. And also in parallel, it also understand from how you edit code if the suggestion that was provided was proper or not. So let me jump on GitHub Copilot. Okay, I'm still here. Okay, can you, I hope you are able to.
Yes, Francesco, we can see your screen.
Okay, sorry. My computer, some application crash. I'm using too many applications at the same time. I should start to use only Codespace. So yeah, sorry for this interruption. I was going to start to give you a demo of how to use Copilot.
Are you able to turn on your camera, or?
Yes, I hope it will not.
Yes.
Okay. So I am back inside my front-end React project. What I didn't mention about Copilot is that it's it's still in technical preview, and there are some. It's still not working perfectly, and thanks God it's not perfect. Otherwise, we might lose our job as a software engineer. So I want to just give you some example about how it's working. And also this can be something that you can expect to be way more efficient in the next 5 years. So let's assume that I have this controller API, and I left this comment saying that I need to call this get API and get an information, and then when I will get this information, I will need to insert in a database. Usually what I will do is, oh, I need to call a get endpoint. I might forget about how to perform a endpoint call, and I will most probably Google it, or I will go in Stack Overflow and look for some code that I can copy paste. So the advantage of Copilot is that you can perform all of this remaining in the context of your Visual Studio. So in the moment that I will start to type call get endpoint, see that this recommendation, this suggestion, is a Copilot that is recommending it. And what you can see also is that it's suggesting me to change and also check another type of recommendation. So this one, for example, is exactly what I was looking for. So I can also have some error handling. But let's assume I want to see all the other type of recommendation. I can scroll out all the possible suggestion, and then I can decide which one to accept. Similar behavior can be applied to how you insert in the database. So you see, for example, now I just wrote a function. This is an example of something that why it's still in technical preview is already recommending me to write this endpoint, but definitely is exactly the same of what I have written above. So let's insert item in database. Yeah, you can see that I also in this case is already understanding that I want to add an item in the DB, and it will suggest me this option. And as we have seen before, I can also start to change and see a lot of different implementation. is in this case is even suggesting me to use the Mongo client. My recommendation is whatever it will prompt to you, please review it and also check. It might be a good starting point, but definitely it's not the perfect code. Another example that I really would like to show you is the ability of Copilot also to understand from the context of a comment and start to generate code from it. So this is a very basic button component inside React. And in this case, I left a comment saying that I want to build a unit test to assert that every time that I click on a button, it will increase. So in this case, I will just enter, and then it starts to recommend me how to build this test. And it gives me the entire syntax to build the test just from one comment. So the tool definitely is very powerful. What I forgot to tell you before, given this small problem with Teams, was related to how do I access Copilot. So Copilot is still in technical preview, and you should ask if you want to join it. You should go to copilot.github.com, and then once you will be approved, you will have a Copilot extension that is running inside your Visual Studio. Okay, so that's all from Copilot. I will jump to my fourth demo. So this feature is a Visual Studio LiveShare. As we know, development is a team sport, and teams today are more geographically distributed than ever. So LiveShares help you to perform pair programming and also to help when developers are getting stuck in some coding with a completely different experience from just sharing your video or asking your senior developer to check out the code and run it on their own machine. In fact, LiveShare enables you to do a pair programming session with no setup, and also providing to the other person a full context of your code, but not just the code, also the debugging session, the running apps, and even the terminal. And this with also the advantage that if both developers are using Visual Studio code with a different configuration, the reviewer will be able to still see the code with their own configuration. Since this implies to have two persons doing LiveShare, I will open a quick video of 5 minutes from our Visual Studio team. And and then I will come back with our fifth item. So let me play.
Hey, I'm Sana, and I'm a program manager on the Visual Studio Code team. Today we'll talk about how you can use VS Code to code together, even if you're not physically together. I remember when I was in school and I'd get stuck on a coding assignment. I'd go to office hours to try to get help, but really that meant a bunch of us were trying to huddle around one person's computer to see what they were doing, and it wasn't an efficient way to get help. There should be an easier way to ask for help when you need it, and there is. Today we'll talk about how you can use the LiveShare extension in VS Code to code and collaborate together in real time. So let's get started. So I'm here in VS Code, and I've got some code in Python to print out numbers of the Fibonacci sequence. In this sequence, each number is the sum of the previous two numbers. Now this code is mostly working, but it's not printing out the results exactly as I'd expect. And I've tried debugging this, but I think what I really need is someone to help me talk through the logic of this. So I'm going to ask my friend Ornella for help. I'm going to use the free extension in the marketplace called LiveShare to collaborate in real time with her. If I search for LiveShare, I get this LiveShare extension pack, which comes with two extensions. One is the LiveShare one, and the other adds audio calling to LiveShare. So let's install both. Once you install the LiveShare extension, it's going to add this icon to the activity bar, and then you can click on this and click on Start Collaboration Session. Now the first time you do this, you're going to have to log in with a Microsoft or GitHub account, but once you do it, you'll get a link to a LiveShare session that you can now share with anyone you want. So now that I've got the link, I'm going to send it to my friend Ornella to help me out. All right, I just sent it. Ornella, can you tell me what's happening on your end?
So I just got the link from Senna, and I already have LiveShare installed in VS Code. So I can just select Join Collaboration Session and paste in the URL that she sent me. So I'm actually joining Senna's VS Code instance, and I can see her code and help her in real time. And we're in. So now I can see Senna's cursor as she's typing. What's cool about this is that even though I joined her session, I'm still in my VS Code, so I can still see my theme, my keyboard shortcuts, and my settings. We can work together, but I have all the customizations that make VS Code work best for me. So Senna, tell me what's going on with your code.
Okay, let me show you what's happening on my end. So I can go to the LiveShare icon there and see that you've joined my session. I can right-click on your name and follow participant. So this way I can follow your cursor if it goes to different files or different line numbers. I can also share the Python terminal with you. So right now you can see it's read-only, but let me give you read-write access. This way you can access my terminal and also send commands to it. I can also use a new channel to communicate with you. All right, but let me show you what's actually happening with my code. So I can run this code and show you that I'm seeing some negative numbers in my results. So let's print the first 5 digits. And I know I shouldn't be seeing negative numbers, but I don't really know what's happening. So can you help me walk through the logic?
Yeah, so you definitely shouldn't be seeing negative numbers in the Fibonacci sequence. So let's just start out by typing the first couple digits in the Fibonacci sequence. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. So let's take a look at your code, and particularly let's look at this if statement. What you're saying here is that if n is less than 1, return n. Is there anything about this statement that could be, incorrect based on the sequence that I've typed out in the comment?
Yeah, so in the comment you typed that the first 0 and 1 digits return the same number, but I guess in the if statement, if n is less than 1, that only looks at 0 and not 1. So maybe I need to change the if statement to if n is less than or equal to 1. And that will include both 0 and 1. Okay, let's try that. Let's run it and see what happens. So now let's print the first 5 digits again. Oh, nice, it worked. Okay, let's try that once more. Let's put another number. Let's run it with, say, the first 12 digits now. Okay, cool. First 12 digits of the Fibonacci sequence. Thank you so much.
Yeah, glad I could help. See you later.
We heard from educators and instructors that projecting your code or sharing your code while you teach can get really difficult. So using the LiveShare extension, you can click on Start Read-Only Collaboration Session, and this will create a LiveShare link that you can share with up to 30 people and gives them read-only access to your session. You can change that to make read-write if you want them to edit your code while you teach, but this is really great for classroom scenarios, especially with remote teaching. So as you can see, the LiveShare extension makes pair programming, group projects, and remote teaching and classroom scenarios a lot easier and way more fun and interactive. So install the LiveShare extension today and let us know how it works for you and give us feedback. We hope you enjoy the experience and happy coding.
Okay, wonderful. I hope you enjoyed the video. So my last demo for today is about Visual Studio notebooks. So what is the notebook API of Visual Studio? Let's start first to define what are notebooks. So notebooks are a document that contain a mix of Markdown, but also executable code snippet and a rich output. You can execute each of the different steps independently, and you can also rearrange if needed. This is not very familiar for people that are not data scientists. In fact, notebooks has been created for them, and usually they are doing data exploration, data preparation, and also model training by using notebooks, and I will give you an example later. But the point is that you can also use notebooks in a lot of other ways. So it can be used for education purpose. In fact, the ability to execute every single line and see the output can be relevant when you want to show how the code is executing, how you transform an input to an output. And it can use also to test endpoints and run triage session. So this is what I will show you in the demo. So I'm back to my code and Visual Studio. So here I will open my notebook folder, and I have already Jupyter notebook that I will open. That is about that I created to run some data scientist task. So I have a data set from Fortune 500, and what I'm doing here is first I'm executing some import. One of the advantage of Notebook is that for every of this code snippet, I can define a different tech stack from where I want to execute. So in this case, it's Python, but I can have many other languages that are available. So after importing relevant libraries, I will import. I'm importing the data set, and then usually data scientists will need to perform some validation on the data set. So they want to see the initial row, the final row of the data set. Then they want to see if there is any outlier in their data. Some columns are missing. And then you will start to plot it. This is, of course, all these plotting features are available in Python, but the very cool things about the notebooks is that it's storing the output, and so you can keep seeing the information that you have generated. And as I told you, this can be very useful also for educational purpose. Notebooks are very powerful, and you can also do very complex analysis, like in this case that you are also plotting a lot of additional information like the average and other data that you can extract from the time series. So this is the normal way of using it, but now I want to show you another example of how you can leverage on notebooks. So if you install the RESTbook extension, you will be able, for example, to be able to test endpoint by using this custom notebook. In fact, notebooks are available, but you can always customize it in the way that you prefer to have a very an improved behavior. So first of all, I will need to start my node environment. Just a second to make this properly working. So I will run my Azure function locally so that I can test if they are working. But you can assume that a developer might want to do this when developing an API. You might want to have this notebook inside your microservice with all the relevant endpoint to quickly test if your microservice is working, also if it is returning the endpoint, the response that you are expecting. As you can see, when I execute, then I am able to visualize quickly the response, all the requests, the response, and also I can, by changing presentation, I can also see all the information about this endpoint and the data that is returned. And as you can understand, this can help you while coding. So this is another way of using notebook. I'm conscious of time, so I will also jump on another example. So this is the way that the Visual Studio team is performing the triage of bugs and item assigned to the team. So by using another extension that is called GitHub issue, you are able to connect a notebook to your GitHub repository. So in this case, I'm using this other repository that I have, and it's using my account name in GitHub. So by running this query, I will be able to visualize all the GitHub issues that are open in my repository. And by adding some additional logic, I can also filter by the item assigned to me, and then I will be able to browse to the GitHub issue. And this, as mentioned, is very useful doing triage of issue assigning to our repository. So I will quickly jump on my conclusion. So today we have seen a couple of ways on how you can improve productivity for developers, and this helps to improve the overall developer velocity of your company. But as mentioned, there are way more areas that you should explore that are also on collaboration and how you scale innovation with serverless and cloud native. My advice to you is to explore this website, the developer velocity website that is available at azure.com. And in this website, you can find a lot of relevant information, but you can also do the assessment that will allow you to understand where your company is in developer velocity, and also where the area that you can improve. A lot of the information that I share today, you can find in GitHub blog and Visual Studio Code blog, and I recommend you to look them monthly just to see the latest news on those two tools. And it's really, and it can give you a lot of relevant information on how to improve the way that you are coding and be more productive. Finally, as we have seen today, by looking at Visual Studio, GitHub, Azure, and Power Apps, in this moment, Microsoft definitely has the most comprehensive tooling for improving developer velocity. So I definitely encourage you to have a look and start to explore this tool and how your organization can benefit from adopting it. Sorry for being a bit late, and now I think it's time for starting the Q&A session. If we are not going to have time to cover all the information, I invite you to scan this QR code and contact me or Francois on LinkedIn and ask us additional questions there.
Thank you so much, Francesco. Yeah, let's take some time for the questions from the audience. Keep them flowing, we'll answer them. First question was, do I need a GitHub account to run Copilot?
Yes, I think you need a basic GitHub account to run it and to request that they will enable it. Just go on copilot.github.com and and request to access this technical preview.
Right. I am on, is Codespace available for GitHub Enterprise? I think the question is Enterprise Server versus Enterprise Cloud, right? So
I don't think in this moment there is an offering for Enterprise Server, so you cannot host it on your personal cloud space. It can only run in public cloud.
Yeah, or GitHub Enterprise Cloud. Yeah, that will work within GitHub Enterprise Cloud, but not on the self-hosted. Question now on the notebook extensions. Can I have other language like Java, Golang, and so on in my notebooks?
There is definitely a lot of support, and so I need to check exactly which language are supported. I don't have the full list now, but I think there might be also additional extension that you can enable if you want to run other languages.
Yeah. If I can add my personal perspective, is really if Jupyter is supported, usually you are good to go there. I think we have done the round of the questions. Let me check if we have more questions coming in. I think that's good for now. With that, if there is no further questions, as I shared earlier, this is only the 4th sessions of a series of 6. Next week we'll have more focus on data, and the last sessions will be on security. If we can go on the next slides to see the dates. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. We love to hear your feedback. So by all means, please scan this QR code and provide us the best feedback so that we can improve the sessions the following session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.